love it.
Femme Flicks, a deep dive into the female directors of our diaspora.
I love it. That sounds like a thesis. Like, that sounds like a thesis statement.
In this essay, I will. Welcome back to another episode of Pause Pod, the podcast where two gals who love film try to yap their way into becoming indie darlings. I'm Kara.
And I am Danny.
And boy, oh boy, just another day yapping to my wife about films made by women. I love it.
Nothing is better than this.
Nothing is better. Darlings, as much as we love getting into the film bro channels, causing a ruckus, having opinions, and also exploring some amazing legends. We're having quite the film bro summer. We covered Spielberg last week, and we're going to be covering Nolan with the release of the Odyssey. And so we thought, let's take it back to women. And so we are starting a new series here on Pause Pod where we dip. Oh my god, I hope that little girl's doing well.
Right. I hope she is doing well.
You know, and I hope pause. Tangentially, I hope that like the children that we connect to on TikTok, I hope they only film them for about 2 years at their cutest and then they cut the cameras and let them live a normal life. You know?
I know. Like, there's so many rules about it now, as there should be.
Protect the children in this media landscape.
Protect the children. Anyways,
unpause.
Unpause. But as Kara was saying, yes, we are going to be deep diving into some of our favorite female directors and taking a look at their work.
Also, I had a brain blast in the middle of night last night about what we should name this series, and it could be dumb, it could be great. Shall I test it out on you right now?
Please.
Okay. Femme Flicks. Let's let it marinate.
No, right. I love it.
Femme Flicks, a deep dive into the female directors of our diaspora.
I love it. That sounds like a thesis. Like, that sounds like a thesis statement.
In this essay, I will.
Like that deadass sounds like a thesis.
And what are we if not writing digital essays every time that we grab this mic?
Right. Of course. Right.
Anyway, so we are starting with an indie darling herself, a queen of Cannes, none other than Rungano Nyoni.
I love her.
I want to be her. I want to go to there.
I want to, not particularly to her films, but just to her mind.
No, just her vibe. just her vibe, you know? I'd invite her to the dinner party, you know what I mean?
Right.
But yes, we are going to be diving into her latest film on Becoming a Guinea Fowl, which took festivals by storm in 2024. And then we're going to rewind into her debut feature from 2017, I Am Not a Witch. But before we do, Danny, how the hell are you?
How the hell am I? I'm doing great. I just saw an amazing film last night.
Oh my gosh. And she's gonna post about it and y'all aren't ready.
If you guys have not already watched the first episode of Pause Pod After Dark, I talk about 3 of the hottest horror films of the summer currently. Obsession, which everyone and their mothers are talking about right now, is Goddess and Hokum. However, last night, I think I have a new reigning champ of my favorite horror of the year so far. And baby, that's Leviticus. Gay horror. Happy fucking Pride, baby.
Woo, woo, woo. chatting to Danny about before we got on mic, and she was like, I was turned on and scared out of my wits.
Literally, I was turned on, sad and scared. I felt every range of the human emotion watching that film. Loved it. 10 out of 10. I came out of theater. I texted Kara's boyfriend, her boyf, and I said, friend, you need to watch this film. But the UK is homophobic.
What?
And
okay.
homophobic. I'll stand on that. They're not releasing it. Or at least there's not like a release date right now.
That's the funny thing about us being a transatlantic podcast, is that sometimes the distribution is whack and the access is not there. And it's like sometimes I get films first, sometimes you get films first. It's crazy.
It's very interesting to me because it's an Australian film.
Australian film, yeah.
So I would have thought that it would have had a UK distribution above a US one.
It's probably coming, you know, with the Commonwealth and all that. We'll get it.
Yeah, it'll just take a minute. But let me know when you do get it.
Well, I'm so excited for the second episode of Pause But After Dark.
Right.
Because that's what I can watch. I'm too scared to watch the films themselves.
To watch it.
But I eat up the analysis.
I was actually quivering. Like, there was times that I had to hide myself in my hoodie. I was scared. And so I think Kara would actually shit herself. I think that you would combust.
Considering that I involuntarily burst into tears during Midsummer.
Oh my god.
Not even at any particular moment, just because I was overstimulated so much.
You would. I think that this would have caused you to like spontaneously combust. Yeah. The horrors have really been horroring recently.
Mm-hmm. And I love that for you.
Cara Bear, how are you?
I'm good. I just had like the perfect weekend day yesterday where I went to go see a matinee of a show at Soho Theatre. It was a one-woman show, which is always like make or break. Like if you can capture my attention and build a whole world as one woman on stage, then you've got me. And I saw this amazing play called Eat the Rich, in parentheses, but maybe not me mates. And it's this incredible story about this young Scouse woman from Liverpool who goes to Cambridge, and she's like from a working class background, and she befriends all like these like like part of the play she talks about all the girls she meets, and she's like Tilly, Jilly and Millie like all these posh, you know, Cambridge legacies, and just her journey. And it was so hilarious and so fun, and like a tight 70 minutes. Brevity is the soul of wit. It was amazing. And then I went and I ate some Japanese food and frolicked in the sun, and it was glorious. So I'm still riding that high.
I love that for you. That sounds like the perfect day. I must ask, how are you guys faring with the heat?
Okay, like I didn't want to be a typical British person and talk about the weather. And also like
have to.
It's a different level of being a person from Florida in the UK during a heat wave, because everybody and their mother comes up to you and is like, you should be fine, shouldn't you? You're used to this. It's home for you. And it's like, actually,
it's not.
Stop, reverse it, and turn the other way, because it is not the same. The place that I come from is built for heat. There's something called infrastructure. There's something called insulation. There's something called air conditioning. Okay? So it is not the same. And heat rises. And my flat is on the third floor of this lovely converted Victorian building. I'm sweating.
Oh, you poor thing. And to the point is, we both were raised pretty coastal.
Yeah, there's no sea breeze.
That ocean breeze helps, bro. That ocean breeze helps. And y'all have nothing.
But something that I do enjoy, the one silver lining of a heat wave in the UK is that the Brits know how to share a pint in the sun. It is a glorious thing to have an ice cold alcoholic bevy in the sunshine. It really
Little
is.
Beveragino.
Little Beveragino. I tried to get Danny to try Jubal while she was here. Because something about us, beer, don't know her. I don't really associate with her.
Mm-mm.
On occasion, we have called beer dirt water, and that is how we
Yeah.
referred to it throughout our university career. But
Hmm.
Jubal, honey, Jubal, she's juice. She's juice, and I love her so much.
You do love a jube. I didn't mind it. I could drink a pint of that.
Mm-hmm.
Would I choose it over a cider? Hell no.
No,
I'm not
because you're a
choosing that
woman
over
of
a
taste.
cider because I am a woman of taste and class. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I will choose a cider. I will choose cider over any
Mm-hmm.
type of beer, actually. And it's really sad because I live in, like, living in Charlotte, there's only breweries around. And it's really a travesty to find a good cider
You're
anywhere.
swimming in a sea of IPAs, and it needs to stop. And it
And
needs to
I'm
stop.
drowning. I'm
And it
drowning. I'm
needs.
suffering.
Anyways, I'm so excited to talk about these two films. Shall we jump into On Becoming a Guinea Fowl? And a quick pause before we get into our play that throughout this episode, we will be talking about violence against women and girls as it is a theme in Nyoni's work, as well as the death of a child. If those are not things that you want to hear about, we obviously won't go into any graphic detail. But if it's not for you, we will catch you in the next episode and you can jump to our fast forward segment and get all of that lovely film news if you don't want this analysis. Alrighty, so on Becoming a Guinea Fowl, where to begin? This film starts with a bang, ends with a bang. This film follows a young woman named Shula, who we first meet her driving home from a costume party, looking fabulous as Missy Elliott. And she stops the car, she looks out very nonchalantly, then gets back in, calls her dad, and says that she's just found her uncle dead on the side of the road. And the film follows her family throughout mourning the uncle, and then some secrets and some buried abuse, quite frankly, starts to crop up, and we start to see who this uncle actually was and how he has affected the women of this family. And oh gosh, right off the bat, I thought this film was an incredible portrayal of the nuances of matriarchy and
Mm,
matriarchy that is still, and I say that just in the family sense. Like, this family seems on the surface to be run by these women and these women gathering together, being there for each other. And yet it can't escape the venom of patriarchal forces.
mm, absolutely. And as someone who's come from a Caribbean background,
Mm,
seeing this film and watching this film felt like a homecoming for me of sort. Like, I've experienced funerals like this or of similar vein as this, and the theatrics of it and the cooking and like everything that went into it. I it
mm-hmm,
felt like coming home. And also, as you were saying, like, them succumbing to the venom of patriarchal forces, it's like that is so rampant in Caribbean and African and Black American cultures. And so it did hit particularly hard for me watching this film. There was definitely moments I had to like pause. Like, I've watched it before and I rewatched it, and like it doesn't get easier. It doesn't get
mm-hmm.
easier watching it.
Yeah, I think Nyani's superpower, and we'll talk about this in I Am Not a Witch as well, is that she has this razor sharp wit and dark humor.
Mm,
And she uses this humor in such an incredibly effective way where she's highlighting the ridiculousness of situations, but also not shying away from showcasing violence against women and girls and
mm,
pointing that ridicule in that direction. Like, just right off the bat, the beginning of this film, she's in such a hilarious costume. Like, Shula is dressed ridiculously, and yet she is dealing with her uncle's dead body, and she doesn't change out of that outfit for quite a long time. And so I think Nyoni invites these moments where she steals a giggle from you and like it lends you that levity so then she can then come in for the kill and be like, oh, but actually this is what's happening beneath the surface. And life is hilarious and life is deeply, deeply tragic. And she just balances it so well. She's such a
Yeah.
master.
And going into it, like you're talking about like that first scene, and quickly after, like she finds the dead body and she's in this ridiculous costume, her drunk cousin
Oh my gosh, the
comes
cousin.
comes stumbling through,
She's
and
so good.
she's so good, she's so funny, and she's so drunk for the entirety of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And later in the film, you get a gut punch as to why she is drunk all the
All
time.
the time.
And I feel like at this point, you guys know we do spoilers. So, spoilers, it is revealed that Uncle Fred has raped her,
And many women and girls in his
many women
family.
in his family. It's just one of the side effects of that deep rooted trauma that she is having to deal with. And it is probably the reason why she is drunk the entirety of the
Mm-hmm.
film, is to quell that pain and that anguish in her. And it's like you see her as this bumbling, a kind of like drunken, fun, outgoing, like
Mm-hmm.
very like it doesn't take like anything really seriously cousin, and then you get hit with the like, oh fuck, like that's why,
That's
like,
why. Mm-hmm.
and it's so hard.
And I think you're right to point out like these moments of it's almost like the director is asking us, she's giving us something, but then also giving us the tool to look deeper. Because, like, with the
Mm,
cousin's alcoholism and like the fun of and the humor of that, and then us learning it later, same sort of thing is deployed when we see the much, much younger cousin, Bupe, her video that we see.
mm,
So during the funeral gathering, Shula is tasked with going to collect the youngest cousin from university to bring her into the family gathering. And you see that she's passed out, she's not very responsive, and she's later hospitalized. And we see it cuts to a home video that she's taken of herself, and she's talking about, oh, mom, I have to tell you a secret. And I didn't tell you for so long because I didn't want to break up our family and get in the way of the unity of our family. And then she goes on to say, for so long, while you weren't around, Uncle Fred, and then it just cuts out. And we can fill in the blanks. And by forcing us to fill in the blanks of that sentence, it just hits so much harder because she's giving us these clues and she's saying, are you going to ignore these context clues or are you going to put them together to see what's obviously happening to these women in
mm.
this
And
family?
I I think it's also that's where the women of the family stop watching the video.
Yeah, cuts out.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that is where they stop watching. That's where they stop listening. And so we don't hear the rest of it because they didn't hear the rest of it. They
Mm-hmm.
already knew. They knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And so because they didn't listen to the rest of the video, we also don't get to listen to the rest of the video.
And it's so tragic. It highlights this through line, at least that I saw throughout the film, which is it kind of ties into the name of the film, On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, because a motif throughout the film is cutting to this children's show that Shula is remembering watching. And it's like a farm show where they talk about different animals and they keep talking about the guinea fowl. And they say that the guinea fowl is really important. They flock together, they travel in packs, and they squawk to alert each other to danger. And as the film goes on, you start to see how the women of this family are guinea fowls, but there's a darker side to it because a scene that I found so incredible but also so painful was towards the end of the film when all of this information is leaking out. The women all gather in the pantry of the house and they're talking to Shula and the cousin we were talking about in Sansa. And they they both hold space for them and say, we know how you feel. We've suffered in this family too. We've been hurt by Uncle Fred too. And they're like holding them and holding space for them. And yet the cycle continues and they don't want to tarnish Uncle Fred's memory. So it's this really painful, two things can be true. Like these women can hold each other and be here for each other and flock together, but also perpetuate this cycle of violence in this family.
Yeah. And to the point of the cartoon, in the first scene that we see the cartoon, they're giving you hints as to what the animal is. So like you're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
guess like what the animal is. And it's funny because again, throughout the film, we continue to get hints through this cartoon of what this animal is, and we don't find out what the animal is until the ending of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that they warn of danger, but the exact word that it uses is they warn against predators.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh,
And
it's so good and it hurts so much.
and the final scene, and that is why I don't really think that the women of the family, at least the elders, I think the younger
Mm,
ones, and I
yeah.
think that's the backing of the title of On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, is because our main character, she in the end when she's making the noises of the guinea fowl, and like in the last like 15 to 20 minutes she is going around and telling everybody like exactly who Uncle Fred
He
is. Like she
is.
is no longer afraid. Like she told her dad, she's talking to her mom about it, she was like, what did you guys do when you found out what he did to us? Like what did you guys do? You guys all saw my cousin's video, you know what he did to me. Like, what did the aunties do to protect us? And in the end, she herself became a guinea fowl because she is warning against predators. She is
Mm-hmm.
the one that is being very vocal about it and warning against the predators in the family.
Absolutely. That ending shot is so powerful because she's also holding the children. Like she's holding Fred's children and the children of the family, and she's like, they're flocking together. Like she is now
Mm-hmm.
the guinea fowl leading and protecting this flock of young children. And to me, that's her wanting to break that cycle. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, the elders of the family have failed in being guinea fowls for each other, and she now wants to become one for the future generations and truly break
Mm-hmm.
that cycle. And yeah, it's amazing. And circling back to when she's asking her mom, like, because her dad asks her, oh, did Uncle Fred do anything to you? So that she knows, oh, he doesn't know. Like he hasn't known this whole
Yeah.
time. And she not confronts, but she's having a conversation with her mother where she's like, so you told all the aunties, but you didn't tell dad. Again, like the flip side to this bond between these women is like they will spread this information, but they won't do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't tell the men because in a way, I was like, there are so many kind of subtle and unsubtle ways in which men function in this film, especially like around food and around gathering, how they don't get up to get the food, the women have to serve them. And that's like assumed and a given. They're both powerless and powerful, that the mom didn't want to tell the dad because she didn't want to set anything in motion. But then there's also
Mm-hmm.
this passivity from the men. So it's just this complicated web of like gender politics.
Yeah. And it is something that like even I have witnessed in person.
Mm,
Like in Caribbean culture, I'm speaking strictly for Caribbean culture, and I know it's similar in African culture and in Black American culture, but like this is very true in the way that we that those cultures treat men, and these very patriarchal systems, like they they're more willing to hide the fact that there is a predator in their midst than actively acknowledge what's going on and protect the women and children in their family. And they'll do more if their son is gay than if their brother is raping like their niece, you know what I
mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
And it's devastating to watch And it's a cycle that is continuing, like, to this day. Like, it is very ingrained in this culture to honor men, and that goes back to the very young wife that Fred has. Like,
Oh
they're
my gosh,
blaming
yeah.
her for not taking care of this man when she is a child herself. Like, she is a child, you know?
Mhm.
And they're like, "Oh, he's only drinking because you weren't cooking for him," and all of that. And it's like, okay, he's drinking because she's not cooking for him. Then what was his excuse for raping a child before he was married? What was the excuse then?
It's like it always returns to the shoulders of the women. Like
Mhm.
that scene is so there's a scene where the two families, um the young wife's family and then Uncle Fred's families is kind of having this debate and argument about who should get his effects and who is at fault, and they keep coming back to, well, you didn't take care of your husband, you didn't honor your husband, and her parents are ashamed of her, and it's like this man has free will. This man has free will. And Shula is talking to her father about this young wife. She's like, I'm worried about her. I'm worried about the young children. And she asks one of the kids how old he is. And she figures out that this young wife was having babies at the age of 11 or 12, and that she is not only his wife, but one of his victims.
Mhm.
And it's infuriating to see them put that all on her shoulders. But it's this, that's how the cycle continues, is that it's never the man's fault. And if he did do something abhorrent, there's certainly a reason for it. It couldn't have come from him. Um, but I think that's the power of this film, and the fact that Nyoni can do it with such humor and wit.
Mm.
And I think something that should be said, and touching on one of your amazing points in your Postpod After Dark video when talking about Is God Is, the violence against these women and girls is never shown on screen.
Mm.
And I think that's incredibly important. One, so that it's not gratuitous and that the act itself doesn't take away from the effects that that act has had on these women, but also because then the film mirrors this culture of, we don't talk about it and we don't see it. If we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. If we don't see it, it doesn't exist. And I thought that was chilling and incredibly effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, to the point is that there are systems in place, and that these women are upholding systems that are actively bolstering abusive and narcissistic and downright evil men.
Period.
Period.
Period. End of sentence.
Yeah.
But overall, I think in the analysis of this film, it could feel like quite a heavy film, and it is. When it needs
Mm.
to be dark, it's dark and it doesn't shy away from it. But as we said, the mastery of it is that you're also laughing throughout this film. And the situational irony is a tool that she employs so much. So it makes for a really balanced, and I wouldn't want to say an enjoyable watch, because like there are parts
Mm.
of it that are really, really hard. Um, but yeah, she just uses that situational irony so well to balance out the film.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible. It's also a beautiful film, like,
It's
visually a
gorgeous.
beautiful film. Both
Mm-hmm.
of her films are just, like, shot so beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
She has such an
Yeah.
eye, and it's just gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. Well, I think that's a good transition into I Am Not a Witch. Let's rewind.
Okay, moving into I Am Not a Witch, it starts with our main character, a little girl who is later known as Shula, which is very funny because both of the main characters in both films' names are Shula.
Shula.
But she is a little apparently orphaned child who is accused by this community of being a witch, and in turn she is sent to this other community of other women who are apparently claiming to be witches, and it follows the story of this little girl's journey in this community and being exploited by the government. And Yeah.
And the film starts in such a genius but jarring way, and that Danny alluded to this like commune style like witch camp, and the waters are muddy as to whether these women have chosen to be here or are kind of captured to be here in these witch camps. They all seem eerily calm, but I wonder if it's like a Stockholm syndrome situation.
Mm.
And I think there's also some coping mechanisms that come into play later. But the film starts again, she knows how to start a film because you start with these tourists coming upon the witch camp and a witch exhibition. Like they're literally looking at them as if they're looking at animals in a zoo. And it's
Mhm.
incredibly jarring, but ultimately genius. And I think that dark humor is what characterizes most of this film.
And I think it's also funny because it is something that has happened in history. Black people have been in zoos as exhibits and watched by white people. Nevertheless,
Spit the facts, Danny. Spit the facts.
nevertheless, yeah, it is never really established on if the women are there not really by choice, but by capture or what. But a main focal point is that they believe that if they cut the ribbon that they're attached to, so all of them are strapped to this ribbon that is on this wheel, and they can only go as far as the ribbon allows them to go. But it is told to them that if they cut this ribbon, they're going to turn into goats.
Mm-hmm. And when the little girl Shula is taken, first of all, she's taken to this camp by this character that I think we'll talk about more later. This sort of ambiguous government official, like mayor type dude who's hilarious and so weird. But as Danny was saying, he gives her like this illusion of choice of, oh, you can cut the ribbon now on night one and be a goat, or you can join this community. And it's quite manipulative because it's this little girl who's looking for a place to belong and finding comfort in these women. But of course, later, towards the very end of the film, she's crying and she's saying, I should have chosen to be a goat because a goat can roam free.
And that
Literally punch me in the gut.
that shook me to my various core
To my very core.
because throughout the film you watch this child be exploited. Like
Mm-hmm.
she at first in the first night, like when she's like, "Oh, you can cut it, become a goat," or and the option is either you become a goat by cutting this ribbon or you admit to being a witch. There's
Right.
no there's no there's no, "Oh, I'm not a witch," actually. There's no
It's
choice for that.
giving it's giving Salem, we're gonna put stones on you, and if you sink to the bottom of the river, then you're a witch.
Like, there's no option. Like, either you
Mm-mm.
admit to being a witch or you turn into a goat. Like, those are your options, babe. So, I don't know about you, like, as a child who is presumably orphaned and these women who you spent the day with who are kind to you and nice to you after being in this community that is very cruel to you. I don't know. I choose the witchcraft and wizardry. Like I would choose to say that I'm a witch. I don't
Right.
know.
And that kind of highlights, what I was grappling with finishing this film is that witchcraft in general can apply to so many different things depending on the cultural context, depending on the moment in time. And I think now we view witchcraft as like womanhood and community and tapping into the divine and looking back at moments in history where women were called witches and thinking they were actually just, holding community or trying to
Mm,
find ways to survive in an oppressive state. But
yeah.
in this film, witchcraft is like weaponized against them in a more quiet and haunting way, in that, yes, they are living together in this community, but witchcraft is a way of keeping them docile, keeping them separate, keeping them as something to gawk at. And nowhere in this film do we actually get to see them like use powers and get to see them use witchcraft, frankly, at all. It's all a performance. Like anytime the baby Shula is quote unquote like being a witch, it's because the mayor dude wants her to do something for publicity. And I was just quietly haunted by the way witchcraft was used against these women. It's not like outright violence, it's like psychological.
Yeah. And like they couldn't perform witchcraft because they weren't witches. And there couldn't be a display of power.
A witch.
There is no plane. Like
baby, there's
no plane. They weren't witches. And the things that this mayor has Shula do, like the grandioseness, if that's even a word, of it all is it gets gradually more like intricate. Like it starts off with her using her witchy powers to to determine who a thief is. Like there's a case and she has to point to who she believes the thief is. And then she ends up being right. And then it moves on to like these more progressive like things until we have Shula eggs. Where
brand deal.
Where he's claiming there's magic in these eggs, and he brings her on this talk show where she's visibly upset. Like she is overwhelmed, she is uncomfortable, she's crying.
Give that little girl an Oscar stat. The single tear,
single
cut the cameras
down her face.
It was so good.
And it was such a humanizing moment, not just for Shula, but it was the audience watching Shula, because up until the point, all the witches in the community were old women. And again, there's always been a stereotype of witches being old, decrepit women after younger women's youth and bullshit like that. But they're seeing this child who is being accused of being a witch and is visibly upset and in anguish, and you're watching their reaction to it. And it was just such a harrowing moment, because you're remembering, I think in that moment we all are remembering that this is just a child. Like
she's a baby, she's like 8 years old.
This is just a child. And one scene that really gets me is when they finally allow her to go to school.
Danny, I'm gonna cry.
When they finally allow her to go to school and she is around people her age, and she is the happiest we've seen her in this entire movie. And it cuts to another scene of the mayor going in front of this
royalty queen
yeah person.
Sure.
And she says that witches don't go to school. And it cuts back to Shula at school, and they start reeling her in by her ribbon. And you just see her getting dragged against the forest floor with this just look, like this dead look in her eyes. And it is the most gut-wrenching scene in the entire film for me.
Yeah, because I think I think the reason that scene is such a sucker punch is because you can see in this little, like, she's come of age in that moment and realized the powers at play. Because earlier in the film, when she first starts being the mayor's puppet and doing all these, I guess, PR events, I don't even know what you would call them, of her being witchy and doing witchy things, she also befriends the mayor's wife. And there's like a lovely little, like a lovely 15 minutes that we like are lulled into this sense of security, because the mayor's wife reveals her ribbon. Like she shows Shula her old ribbon and reveals that she used to be a young witch girl, but you could still have a life of respectability and you could still become a member of society if you just do everything you're told and you're a good girl and you do everything that you're expected to do. And you see in Shula, like, she's found a maternal figure, because I mean the women of the camp are also maternal figures to her, but this is a younger woman. This is somebody that she feels connected to and who has status, who has power, and she could play into all the antics of the mayor because it could lead somewhere. And she almost feels like she has this power, this young 8-year-old girl, and men are doing what she's telling them to do, and it all comes crumbling down. And there's a scene where she's grocery shopping with the mayor's wife, and people in the village are still spitting on her and calling her a witch. And Shula realizes that she has no power at all. And when she's dragged away from school, she's done. Like, she knows that she will never escape this place. She can't have her cake and eat it too. And then that's when she says, I wish I'd chosen to be a goat, because at least I could run free.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really tragic. And the film, if it was a dark comedy for 2/3 the way, the last third is tragedy. Like,
Just tragedy.
You flip the record to the second side, you put in the second VHS tape, and shit gets real. And I wanted to ask you about this, Danny, because what I suspect happened is horrible, and I want to know if you think that this happened as well. But warning about the death of a child. If you really don't want to hear it, skip ahead. Shula dies towards the end of the film, and we don't see the death. We don't know exactly how she dies. And the beautiful part of the film is the very last shot, where all the women of the witch camp realize that she's passed away, and they all cut their ribbons. And you just see a shot of all the ribbons that have been cut, and you see the impact of this young girl and all these women, which is beautiful. But before that, Shula passes away. How do you think she died?
I genuinely think that she killed herself.
I know, me too, which is actually horrific
with the
to
ribbon.
think about. With the ribbon. Oh, it's too horrible for words.
Yeah, like, because her death wasn't for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it technically, I mean, I don't want to causation is not, what is it? Correlation is not causation.
Causation,
but
yeah.
Her death, in a way, empowered all those women to cut their ribbons.
Yeah, and in that final shot of all the ribbons being cut, it was so genius for there to be the sounds of goat in the background.
I know. I'm like, this is a filmmaker. Y'all don't even know.
And it's like they found freedom now.
Yeah. And just, it's a testament to a filmmaker who trusts their audience. Like, I was thinking about the tragedy of Shula's death, because it's come so suddenly and it is so dark, and you've come to fall in love with this child over the course of this film, and she's ripped away from you. But this is a filmmaker who trusts her audience and who gives them this story that she's like, you can handle it. Like, I've invited you into this world. I've invited you into this story, and this is how the story ends. And because she's done such a brilliant job weaving dark humor, weaving the visuals into this film, I was like, okay, yes, okay. Like, it had to happen, and I understand why you did this. And I felt like connected to her as a director in this way, like as if she had like trusted me with something.
Yeah, and I think from the moment we all saw the grocery shopping scene where she has to go and get a bottle of gin, I think us, along with Shula, realized that there was no happy ending for this film.
That was what put her on this trajectory.
Yeah, like, we, alongside Shula, realized that there was no happy ending.
Yeah, but what a gift these two films were. Like,
what a gift.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right. Well, this week, I'm going to fast forward over to my gorgeous, amazing co-host, Danny, to bring us the news. I don't know how it's going with that.
To bring us the latest in film news. I don't think I have like a really... I don't think I have like a news anchor voice.
What's like the did breaking news?
Breaking news.
We
It just
interrupt your
sounds
broadcast.
right. It's just like it makes me feel like I'm trying to sound like Siri. Literally. Anywho, in recent film news that has kind of gotten social media up in a tizzy, Christopher Nolan of Nolan fame.
You know him. You love him.
You know him. You love him. The one, the only Christopher Nolan. Um, he has announced that for his premieres, he will not be inviting film influencers and will only be inviting film critics to critique his film for the Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think?
Oh my gosh. Well, I first think that we should look at this from a film PR lens, of which lucky we have a film publicist in the room. Because Danny and I were chatting a little bit about this off mic, and I think it raises more questions about the state of the internet than it raises about Father Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
Because, listen, as
Listen.
people who talk about films on the internet, obviously we love the film community online and want to join it and love, we have our film influencers that we follow, the film girlies that we love to hear their opinions. And I do think that especially in the film community online, but also just across TikTok and Instagram in general, there has been this uptick of this trend of content that's been branded thought daughter content. So women coming online and expressing their opinions, a la video essays and shorter thought pieces, and wrapping it up into this thought daughter label, and really trying to usher in the critical thinking side of the internet, how we come together, how we chat about things, unpack things, discover new things together. And it's a beautiful thing. But I think it's easy for us as creatives to think that that is what the whole internet looks like and feel safe in our algorithm. But the truth is, like, we are living in a media literacy crisis. And the internet is often not a place for nuance as much as the thought daughters want it to be. And to his credit, Christopher Nolan knows that this is going to be one of the most talked about films of the summer. Like, he has worked hard across his career to become somebody who can get butts in seats, to become, a pillar of the industry. And in some ways, I don't blame him for wanting traditional film critics and film journalists to be the first people to see this film. I get it. Am I sad that I'm not going to get my thought daughter's first, thoughts on this film? And that adds to my excitement as a film goer. Like, I love to see like the non-spoiler videos of just people being really excited about this film. And that's part of film culture, and that's part of Gen Z's film culture, reviving theatrical release and building community through going to the movies. But I get it. To a degree.
I absolutely get it. And again, like, as somebody who has worked in film publicity, like, the very first people that we go to when publicizing a film are film critics. Like, we prioritize getting them screening links. We prioritize getting them to industry screenings. Like, we prioritize them because it's their job.
What it boils down to is that is their job.
like, I'm so sorry. Like, what it comes down, like, I'm so sorry. Like, but what it really boils down to is that it is their job, and they have spent years of their lives getting to this point in their career, where they are trusted and that they have established I don't want to say like an expertise, but like their opinion is trusted and established.
And they know how to watch films. Like, I know that sounds trite to say, but they know how to watch films.
it really boils down to the fact that they know how to watch film and they know how to give nuanced reviews. Like, I have read critiques from film critics where they are critiquing the film as a film, not whether they really enjoyed it themselves, whether they loved it themselves. Like, they are critiquing the film for what it is. I do think a lot of film critique on the internet is coming from a point of, did you personally enjoy the film? Which, again, is a very important part of word of mouth marketing, which is what film influencers do. Like, they talk about films that they love, which is the point. Like, it is something that is trusted. Like, if we follow film influencers who we know and we
And
trust.
we trust. They're kind of like our film journalists in a way. And I think that's what's tricky
Yeah.
about it, is like there are people on the internet who know how to watch films, who are amazing critical thinkers, and who we trust in our media diet. But that's not always the
Yeah.
case. I also think you hit the nail on the head when you said they critique the film for what it is, because I think what we can get caught up in on the internet and what builds traction in a bad way is moral judgment on an artist. Now, don't I can feel the wave coming. Let me finish. There's a whole kit and caboodle that we could get into about separating art from artists, and I am not saying that you should ignore the atrocities that an artist may commit or not commit. What I'm talking about is people going after a filmmaker and feeling almost parasocially butthurt about not enjoying the film.
Yeah.
Like, having judgments on a filmmaker in ways that are not productive. But I think it's interesting, like you said, that he is controlling this very specific part of the PR pipeline, which is pre-screenings. Do you want to talk more about like why that specific chunk is important?
I think, and you saying that with the PR, the way that, going back into my PR roots, if you will.
Girl, you never left. What do you mean?
Never left. We reach out to critics for very different reasons than we reach out to influencers. And we give it to influencers so that they share it with their audience, so their audience goes and watches the film. Like, that is why we send these PR packages to the influencers. Now, literally, no offense, no shade. This is literally how the industry works. Please don't get hurt about this. With film influencers, or like influencers as a whole, we're not really looking at what they thought about the film. Like, we are not really looking at what they thought about the film. Critics, we are. Like, we want them to give us good reviews of the film. We are checking to see what star rating they gave. Like, I would have to compile reports of what critic, what publication, what the star rating was, and a pull quote from their review to send to the production companies. Like, I didn't have to do that with influencers. I only did that for critics because the production companies that's what they're looking for. They're looking for critics because when it boils down to it, it's about award season.
Well, I was going to ask a little
back.
bit. I was going to ask a little bit of a devil's advocate question of like, in this debate, because, and it's good that you brought up awards, because in my mind, I was like, oh, but you could argue that like the audience that is growing up now, this next generation of film goers, they are following film influencers like their predecessors followed film critics. Like, that is the nature of evolution. That is how culture has changed. But I do still think that awards are entirely in its own industry bubble. Like, the awards buzz is very different to getting butts and seats and audience buzz.
Exactly.
And so that's where I can see
separate
the insulation, because I could argue that it's like, yes, but don't we want to empower the next generation of film critics who might be film influencers right now? But I think it does behoove us to look at the structure and to look at yeah, the different avenues and how film criticism is separated into different sections of the industry, and why somebody like Christopher Nolan might want to preserve the insular prestige within the
Mm-hmm.
industry of that film.
And not only are we people trying to be in that film community of I don't want to say film influencers, but like be in that community, as you were saying, we also work in the industry. Like
Oh,
we have like and I'm
you
not
got
saying
us.
this to be I'm not saying it to be pretentious. Like I'm saying this as somebody who has worked on awards campaigns, who have worked on festival campaigns. Like I have seen this. Like I completely understand what he's doing because the PR push to get butts in seats and the PR push to get you an Oscar are different PR pushes. Because I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you this, the general audience is not winning you an Oscar. Because there are so many films that the general audience is like, I've never even heard of that film. Like, how did it get nominated for an Oscar? Yeah. But you know who has heard of those films? The film critics, babes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are things that y'all aren't seeing. There are
Mm-hmm.
things, there are moving parts that are so deeply ingrained in how the industry works, and film critics are part of that. And what I'm seeing this as is his head start into award season, into his award campaign push.
Mm-hmm. And I think we could also add to the conversation that we realize that, like, sometimes that's a con. Like, sometimes a
Mm,
film that we feel like is the film of the year, that we feel like really defined cinema for that year, is not going to get nominated for an
mm-hmm.
Oscar. And that's the constant battle between prestige and commercialism that just defines the
Yep.
industry.
Yep.
And that's why it is so much fun when a film that you love is nominated, because you do feel a
Mm-hmm.
part of it and you do want to be behind it. But yeah, but zooming out to kind of wrap up this conversation of, we get it, Nolan, we see you.
We get
But
it. Can't blame I can't blame him for what he's doing. Like
mhm,
I get it, and I can't blame him for that.
mhm. But what do we think about the future of film discussion online? Like, do you think there is going to be a point where, depending on how festival pipelines change, more and more
Mm,
film influencers are being invited to Sundance, are being invited to Cannes, are being encouraged to post reviews of those films online in the same way that we would have traditional critics do? Is there a marriage of the two? Like, could we see film influencers eventually serving that purpose and working alongside film journalists?
I definitely do. I definitely think it will depend on the influencer. And I think that the
Yeah.
one thing that isn't going to change at all is the point that I brought up, in that at their core, it has to be somebody that can watch film and review the film.
Mhm.
And that is not going to change.
Mhm.
So I think that there's definitely a pipeline where that can happen. And I've seen it happen. Like I've seen like
Mhm.
bloggers, like film bloggers who have like worked their way up and like have gotten hired as a freelancer for The Guardian or for like one of those types of publications.
Mhm.
Like I've definitely seen it happen, and I don't think that it can't happen. But I think at its core, what these production companies are never going to stray away from are people who can watch film objectively and review it objectively.
Mhm. Because that's what it boils down to, right? Like, film
Yeah.
criticism is an occupation, it's a skill. And whether what form that takes, whether it's an article in a more established publication or whether it's somebody posting something on TikTok, if the content is up to par with film criticism, then there's no saying where that could go. But yeah, it's just so interesting. Well, thank you for bringing it into the fast forward segment. But yeah, love film, love Nolan, live, laugh.
Live, love, and love. So, Carabeth, what gave you pause this week?
You know, I was racking my brain. I was trying to be like, what is something like fun and interesting that I could bring to this? But you know
Mm,
what? You
tell
know what
me.
was the highlight of my week?
Mm,
me buying a star-shaped ice cube tray to make star-shaped ice cubes from my morning matchas.
And I love that for you. It's the simple joys.
It's the little things. And as Danny's other best friend Jade likes to call me, I am a whimsical white woman. And, and I take that very seriously.
Yeah.
I have to keep finding ways to innovate. I have to keep finding ways to spark whimsy in my life and the lives of those around me. And I have free will at the end of the day. And it brought me so much joy. So, also, bonus, another beverage related give me pause this week. I said that I went to a new Japanese restaurant yesterday. Have y'all heard of barley tea?
I have not. Wait, I have, but I don't know what it is.
Oh my gosh. Well, do you like the taste of like sesame? Like, do you like a little bit of like a bitter, sweet? Girl, get on barley tea, because the experience of drinking that, I was like, oh, it tastes like nothing. Oh no, it's something. Oh no, it's bitter. Oh no, it's sweet. Oh no, it's refreshing. Barley tea.
All of
Barley
the above.
tea. I had a great time. So yeah, Starship ice cubes and barley tea. That's what I'm on.
I love that.
What gave you a pause this week?
What gave me pause this week? Let me tell you. So I traveled back home to the States. Boo.
After leaving my side.
But one thing I love more than anything else in the world, is when women make their men do men things for other women. And this woman saw that my bag, like my personal item, was quite big and quite large to put under the seat, and so she had her boyfriend find room in the overhead compartment to put my bag so that I can be more comfortable on the flight, which was great because I started my period on the flight. On a disaster strikes. So I was already uncomfortable and in pain, and I was like, wow, that is so kind. That's so kind. And they were both so lovely and so sweet to me the entire flight, and they were great.
And that's on being a villager.
Yeah. And I love women, and and I say that I hate men a lot. It's a part of my personality. But I love men.
TM.
Men TM. I love men who love their women. I love men who actually, and dare I say it, like the women that they're with. Shock. Shocking.
Damn.
It's less common than you think. It's less common than you think. But when you can tell a man actually really likes his girlfriend, I love that.
They say that women who hate men are in the healthiest relationships because that bar is high. And
high.
You know what? It's not that hard, okay? It's not that hard to be a good person.
It's not
that hard. And the women who hate men are finding the ones who are not only doing the bare minimum, but upholding a higher standard. So,
yeah.
I love that for you.
Preach.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. If you have an idea of another female director that we should do a deep dive on, please drop it in the comments on one of our socials or wherever you're listening to your podcasts. You can also DM us. We don't bite. And if you want to do that, where can they do that, Danny?
You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at PausePodGirls. Drop us a follow, drop us a like, drop us a comment. We would love, love, love to hear from you guys. And we're just trying to grow our little indie darling community. So come join us. And we will see you guys so soon in the next episode.